Greetings, Earthlings, and welcome again back to the Earth, our Mudfossil Gaia. So, Murican freaking castles, okay? Wooden Nichols just blew it out of the water. Game over. It's done. He just blew the lid off. This is Iran. In Iran, they acknowledge that these are castles. But over here in America, the same exact kind of structures as what we see over there that they claim to be castles. They're trying to tell us our geology here. These are hoodoos. These are hoodoos that look exactly like the hoodoos in Bryce Canyon. But this is a castle. They acknowledge this is a castle. Not only that, on Google, within the pictures of this castle is a picture of Bryce. It looks that much like it, that there is a picture mixed in there with it. Yeah, I'm right there with you on this one, Wood Nichols. We now deserve an explanation. Why is it on one half of the world they acknowledge and accept that these are structures, they were built, but over on this side of the world, the same thing they're going to try and tell us is geology? I knew there was something to the naming of these places. He's pointing out Church Rock, Castle Mountain. So this has the same kind of brick lines and mortar as I was showing you the structures on top of Mount Lemmon, up on the bird that I'm about to show you. So I had to show you this because it is identical. It's game over. We now deserve an explanation. This is not okay anymore. It is not okay for you to try to tell us on one side of the world that this is geology, and on the other side of the world they acknowledge that these were built. I'm not going to accept it anymore. We deserve an explanation. Look at this. Look at this. It looks like every mesa here in Arizona. It's a castle. This was built. You can walk inside it. You can see the blockwork on the inside. On the outside, you can see these white lines. Look like the mortar lines, or brick lines of brick and mortar. Like I was showing you on that structure, the big statue thing up there on Mount Lemmon. Same thing. But this was built, and they're trying to tell us that that up there's geology. Calling bullshit on this one. Yeah. So, I'm going to introduce you to another avatar of Vishnu and dive a little bit deeper into who these lords are, because I think I have found them in biblical texts. So, let me show you this bird, and I'll tell you the story of Vishnu and Shiva. It's quite a sweet love story, actually. It's very poetic. And, yeah, I'll take you back up Mount Lemmon and show you some of this melted kingdom of the gods. So. Alright, so I told you guys the story of when Itoi came back and destroyed the people here. Well, one of the first things he did, it said, he ground his own house into the earth. Then he reappeared in the east and blew his hot breath upon the people, which held them like a weight where they were. Okay, what we're looking at here is called Brown Mountain. This was Itoi's home. This is where he lived. He lived on top of this pile of rubble. I don't think this was a pile of rubble when he lived here. I think what this is his home. This was Itoi's home that he ground into the dirt. right here, you can see all the right angles, all the flat surfaces. Those are broken bricks. Okay, I went here. I walked on this stuff. It sounds like brick when it hits each other. And it's the same exact color as the red brick that we find buildings made of today. And so even if these bricks don't all have right angles on them, almost every single one has that perfectly flat, sheer surface. Almost every single one has that flat surface. So, you know, whether these were bricks or they built them with stone, maybe we're looking at also parts of mortar, I don't know. I mean, knowing that these were Hindu gods, maybe it looked something similar to what India looks like today. So yeah, this is Itoi's home. This was where he lived. He lived on Brown Mountain. And as you can see here, let me turn off the photos so you can see better. It's different color than everything else. Okay, this one over here is King's Canyon. King Canyon. There's petroglyphs up in here. It is a long hike, but I want to go see them. I wonder if any of them have something to tell us about this story. But this right here is red because it was a red brick building, okay? This was Itoi's home. Itoi was their god. You think Itoi's just gonna live on top of a pile of rubble like that? This was his home. This was a castle. This had to be something glorious. I mean, you can still see right angles and brick lines. And it's a different color than everything else around here. But I also think these were buildings too. Now, Tucson is equipped to handle a massive amount of water. The canal systems here, when when the priests came over to try to convert the people and stuff and build the churches and everything, they said that Tucson, they said that the canal systems here rivaled that of Mexico City. Mexico City was the Aztec city on a lake. So all these canals that we see around here, that I have never seen water in them. Never ever have I seen water in these. And they are everywhere. They are everywhere. And it's like, I couldn't figure out what the purpose for them was, because I have never seen water in them, ever. So basically, these canals, they are all remains of the Hohokam, the people who were here before. They had a star city right here. And all this brown rubble that is now Tucson Mountain Park and Saguaro National Park, this was where Itoi blew his hot breath. He blew his hot breath upon the people, which like a weight held them where they were. And if you look at the way the mountains are, if something hot would have blown from one direction, that's exactly what it looks like. It looks like they all got melted. Yeah, Star Pass. Huh. That was a star fort. I've been looking at Tucson for a while now, and all the evidences are there of a star city. This, you know, and then of course they turn it into a golf course. Seems to be a pattern. This right here was a pyramid. They call this a mountain. This was a pyramid. And when you get up to the top of it, you can see that it is just piles of rubble. I mean, looking at this thing as geology, seriously, I have been trying to figure out how in the heck could geology have even created that. They try to say this was a volcano. A mountain was not a volcano. A mountain was a pyramid. This was another big, beautiful structure that has been melted. And when you go by them, I did drive by and I tried to get some video footage. There's actually arches. And when you get up close to it, it really just looks like a pile of rocks. It's like, who put this pile of rocks here? There you go. There's your arches. There you go. Oh, did somebody just go up there and carve those? Or was that natural erosion from all the rain that we get here in the desert? No. This was a building. And that's just a small part of what's left. It's more like a pyramid, I think. I can only imagine what this place would have looked like when they came here and saw it in its heyday. So we've got our dragon over here. Okay. Here's Shiva, Itoi. And the bird is on the other side of town. Right here. So Mount Lemon and Mica Mountain are the wings of the Gandaberunda that Vishnu incarnated as. I think his head is right here in the middle, but the rocks that I found, I pulled them right off of, I actually pulled them out of the dirt from up on here. Okay, and there is a melted city up here. All of this stuff up here, this like rock reef, these were buildings, and it's really hard to tell from here. So I'll show you the video footage of where we went, but you can still see blockwork, steps. I mean, yeah. So, but it does look quite feathery, right? It does look quite feathery. And so it's really hard to tell where the bird stops and the city starts. It is. Who knows how big this city was, you know? But for sure, it is also a bird. And this ripple effect, I went and found some pictures of feathers under a microscope so that I can show you the similarities, because these creatures have like a fractal nature to them, micro, macro. These ripples that you see on the mountains are the same ripples that you see on the stones that you find on the mountain itself. And those stones, they're called mica. It's mica. That's what Mica Mountain, okay? But then they did build a city up there, and the city has been destroyed, and it is really hard to tell where the bird stops and the city begins. But all this white stuff is granite, and underneath the granite is mica. Just layers and layers of what looks like feathers. I mean, it just looks like feathers. It looks like layers and layers of golden, sparkly feathers with a city on top of it. And then the turtle, this is just nuts. This turtle, when we first drove up to it, You know, I suspected it was a turtle. It's quite obvious that it looks like a turtle, you know. But when you drive up to it, one of the first things that you notice are these protruding rock formations here that look like castles. And I'm like, but that's a turtle. That's a turtle, but those are castles. Okay, so is it a turtle or is it a melted building? And that was like my biggest question since the day I drove up to this thing. I have been looking at it because there's caves up in here, and it really does sort of look like it could have been buildings right up along in here. And so I wonder if it's the same case as like with the bird. We had a beautiful mountain here, and what do people usually do on a beautiful mountain? They build a castle, right? Where are you gonna put your castle? You're gonna put it on a hill. Yeah? So I think that these legs that we see aren't actually like the legs of the turtle. I'm wondering if there was structures built on the hills that the turtle was, and then they were melted. You know? Because this leg and this leg over here look very blocky like. Here, let me show you the footage that I got when I was there. So here's some pictures I got when I was there. And I want to go back so that I can get closer to this. It's a bit of a hike to get up to it from the road. We tried driving as far as we could. But you can clearly see, you see the lines, right? You see all those lines and square right angles? Looks like a bunch of melted blocks or melted bricks. I really think this was a structure that was built on top of the turtle's leg. See, we just have, I think his leg comes out down here, and then they built something on top of his leg, and then it got destroyed. But here you have your hoodoos. Here's your hoodoos. Identical to the castle in Iran. Identical. Okay? They claimed that one over there to be a castle. So what's this? If that one over there, if that's a castle over there, and they're trying to make us believe that geology did this, which is it? How can they say that two identical structures were created two completely separate ways? I ain't buying it. I ain't buying it. There's bricks there. Those are bricks. So when I first saw this, you know, I'm like, dang, is that a turtle or is that a building? I don't know. And then I found the turtle scale. I'm like, oh, well, it's got to be a turtle if there's a turtle scale, but what's this then? Because it does not make sense to be part of the turtle. So this had to have been built on top of the turtle. Same way the city was built on top of the bird. First, let me explain to you why this bird is here, and a little bit about who these Hindu gods actually really are. In the most ancient of Islamic texts, there is a classification of beings. They have angels, they have demons, and then they have jinn. The genies. Just think of Aladdin, okay? Your big, blue, boastful, beautiful Shiva or Vishnu. And another thing, so the genies grant you wishes, right? Regardless of if you're good or bad, or if it's an evil or good thing to do. Well, apparently the reason this bird is here is because Brahma gave a boon, which, you know, it's a wish. He granted a wish to a demon. And the demon wanted immortality. He couldn't grant him immortality, so he gave him conditions. So Narasimha is the lion man that Vishnu first had to incarnate as to kill this demon. And he had to do it, under certain conditions because of the boon that Brahma gave him. And I'm thinking, this is really strange that a god grants a wish to a demon that creates so much havoc that 3 gigantic beasts have to be incarnated here to stop this. So when I discovered the jinn, that's it. That's who they are. They're the jinn. And they're not good, they're not bad. They're born with the ability to choose to be either. They are protectors of humanity, and they're here to help and guide us. So basically it's humans' interpretation of the Lord. The word Lord, it's actually a classification of angels. So, you've got your archangels. These are the Lord angels. Doesn't mean they're God. They're lords. And it's not a bad thing. Now, the leader of the jinn is Iblis. Iblis is Thoth. Thoth is Vishnu. So this bird lying up here as the mountain right now is another incarnation of Vishnu, who would also be, I guess now, Thoth himself, or in the Islamic texts, they label the Iblis as the leader of the jinn, aka Satan. So I guess this is where the subject gets really touchy. So I think now is the important time to point out that scholars who have been looking at the Hindu pantheon and the Vedic texts for their whole lives drive themselves insane trying to figure out who is who, unless you remember the number one fact is that they are all only aspects of one. So the devil, Satan, whatever, is really truly only another aspect of you. You are God. Gosh, if you ever listen to Sadhguru, he will say, I am Shiva, you are Shiva, everyone is Shiva. We all have all of that within us, and that's why they have thousands of gods, so that we all have an aspect of the divine that we can relate to us. So really truly, the only devil that really truly exists, this right here says that the only devil that really exists is the one in your own mind. Your own devil. It's the only real devil. Okay? So it sounds like that is the biggest trick right now on humanity, because right here I just placed the devil. I just placed Satan, Shaitan, Iblis into the Hindu pantheon. And in the Hindu pantheon, number one key is they're all the same. They're all the same. So this bird and dragon that Shiva and Vishnu had to incarnate as, Shiva he needed to liberate or pacify Narasimha, the beast that Vishnu incarnated as, because he didn't want to let go of it. He was so powerful and it felt so good, he didn't want to let go. And everybody was afraid, so Shiva had to incarnate to pacify that one. Well, that kind of really angered him, and then he turned into the Gandaberunda. And the Gandaberunda killed Shiva, killed this Sharabha. And so that's why this dragon is lying here right now, and the bird also, it was like they killed each other. That's how the Tohono O'odham also say it, that these, that actually what's really cool, Gandaberunda Swami, I'm sorry. Okay, so Vishnu's avatar is Gandaberunda Swami. Well, the Tohono O'odham people here called this bird that killed their god Itoi Sawani. Okay, so potato, Sawani, that's his name. It's the same name. That's too much of a coincidence that it can't be the same person, okay? So these Hindu gods, these genies, they were created 1,000 years before humans were. And Bryce Canyon, I am telling you, I think that is where they lived. Those are their temples. That was where the legend people lived. And Coyote turned them to stone because apparently they were bad. Well, that's the same story with the jinn. Same freaking story, okay? Iblis, who is Coyote, is the leader of the jinn who was sent with an army of jinn to battle the bad jinn. Because the gods and the demons in the Hindu stories, they're all the same. They're all jinn. You've got good ones and bad ones because they are born with the ability to choose. So there it is, right there. That's the same story. God sent the Iblis with an army to battle them. And that's what Coyote did. Coyote warned them first, and they didn't want to change, so he turned them all to stone. So crazy, right? But there's just too much coincidence there for that to not be the case. So now that I've got that out of the way, let me take you up Mount Lemon and show you what I found up there. Okay, so this is the footage that I got when I was on top of Mount Lemon. And what this is right across the street from that statue that I showed you. And this whole side of the mountain is nothing but this granite-like material. I think it's granite. I'm not sure. But it looks like marshmallowed, puffed up, melted rock. And you can still see the brick lines all over the thing. Just watch as we walk through here. Right there. See that? See that? Look at that. Too perfect. Those are exactly the same size of lines. Look at those. The whole top of this mountain was a melted kingdom. Melted city of the gods, I guess. Looks quite similar to Sri Lanka, so being that the Hindu gods paraded around here. And it sounds hollow when you walk on it. It echoes very strangely. But look at all the lines. Lines, lines, lines. They're everywhere. Look at that. Millions of years of erosion? I don't think so. Yeah, look at this, look at this. I mean, there's too many linear lines, right angles. It really feels like you're walking on blocks. I think we're standing on top of a castle right here. Ah, I feel like I'm gonna fall off. I did too. I did feel like I was gonna fall off. This place is scary. But look at those lines over there. Look at that. Look at that. There's your white lines that I was telling you that you see, and there's the statue across the road. Okay? But here's your white lines all across it. Just like on the castles in Iran. Identical. This was built, and this was destroyed. And they want us to think that nature did this. Melted city. at that stuff. Too many flat surfaces and right angles. Look at the block work. It's like steps. It's just like steps. There's so much block work just walking through here. It's really the strangest sensation. I mean, look at that right there. That looked like, no, that looks like a baluster or something. Look at that. That looks like a baluster. Is that the right word? What is that? That is crazy. It looks like part of a wall. You see that? Okay, here, let me show you what I'm looking at. This thing right here. And it's perfectly, you know, perpendicular. It's freaking part of a wall. All these flat surfaces, right angles. Oh, that is block work. Let's pause. Come on. Oh. Turn around. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Just blocks on top of blocks on top of blocks. You can't hear me in the video. Right now I'm like trying to figure out the composition of this material. Like it looks a lot like granite. I think it's granite. I'm not sure. Looks like something volcanic that melted. But having these white lines in it like that, knowing now that those are castles over in Iran, tells me that's probably what this is. And that's why, that's what it felt like when I was up there. I was looking at this thing like, I know it's a bird, but this is a building, you know? So, as a mud fossiler, this has been driving me crazy. Because so many things that we've always thought were creatures, they actually could be buildings now. So it's really difficult to look at the world with these new insights and try to figure out which is it, you know. I think more cases than not it really is both. It's creatures because we had to build the buildings out of something, you know, we needed material. So yeah, I think that we've just had many civilizations rise and then fall upon them, and that's it. The creatures have always been there, but many civilizations have risen and fallen on top of them. So as you drive down the mountain from all those melted cities, I guess, you start coming down into the pine trees here. And under the dirt here, all along this whole mountain ridge is full of mica. This is where I found those I'm calling them bird feathers, and I'm going to show you pictures of bird feathers under a microscope, and you will see why I am claiming 100% this was a bird. I think mica is feathers of creatures. All these mica mines, I mean, it's one of the most abundant minerals that there is. You know, that and feldspar make up almost all of the sand in the ocean. So that makes sense, you know? Our world is made out of creatures. And apparently a lot of them were birds, and a lot of them were dragons, or they were bird-like dragons, because dragons, most of them have both scales and feathers. Most of them have both. Just like we have our birds. Some birds have scales, and then you've got all these dinosaur bones. That's a whole nother video of its own. Dinosaurs are nothing more than dragons, okay? They called them dragons way before they ever made up the stupid name dinosaur, okay? And I'm gonna show you some real, what they claim to be fossils in the mainstream that are dragons. So that's gonna be a fun video. But this whole ridge right here, this is full of mica. So under the city is where you have the bird parts, you know? So yeah. Mica Mountain. Bird feathers. Sparkly layers. They're really thin, they even break apart really easily. And it's attached to this white bristly type material here.
Your shadow's covering it.
Oh, yeah, here. Look at that. It's attached straight to it. Okay, so it's a little bit windy, and I do have the generator going. We're off-gridders, and as you can see, it's a little bit cloudy today. So I have to keep the fridge going with the generator right now. But I had to show you guys these. All right, these. Okay, this is the turtle scale I already showed you. Okay, I found this one right by the turtle also. And I picked it up because it had lichen on it. And I didn't realize until just the other day, oh, that's a scale too. Yeah, actually almost every other rock I pick up now has this angular shape to it. I'm going to do a whole video on just the dragon stones alone because, yeah, no, every other rock I swear is a scale. This actually is shaped like a turtle's spur. And it has like the line where it would have been attached in the flesh. I'll show you some real pictures of turtle spurs. But I think that's what these are. Also these are like it looks like a turtle foot spur sort of. It kind of locks into the I don't know. That or I don't know, I found so many different things that this could have been. Like there's one site that they found a bunch of these in a cave, and they said that they were actually carved by humans. And I don't think this was carved. But it's too perfectly round, you know, and I don't know if it's a tendon ball because these lines that go around it like that right there, that's exactly what the turtle foot spurs look like, or they're like toe spurs or whatever on their foot. So I think those are all turtle parts. I found them by the turtle, you know. And then this is caliche. I believe caliche to be cement, an ancient type of cement. That's just what it looks like. I'm not the only one that has that theory too, but all around the base of the turtle you find this, and there are all kinds of earthworks that just do not make sense. We tried to drive up to a few of them. I'll show you as good as I can from Google Earth. But we had a 4-wheel drive, and we couldn't even drive up to these canals to go see them. And so how they got an excavator in there and when to move all that dirt is what I would really like to know, because the area we were at is on the Indian reservation, and I just don't see the people living there now to have made the kind of earthworks that are there now. So, I think this is ancient cement. Caliche cement. This stuff here is scattered all throughout the washes over there. And I found a lot of it over by the Garuda. And with these lines, at first, that was my first thought, maybe they're like Garuda feathers, you know? But then you find chunks like this. We have a almost perfectly right angle, okay? Almost perfectly right angle. And these flat, sheer surfaces like that. And then it really looks like these lines are more like when you pour a geopolymer, you'll get these lines as you pour it. And so these make me think more like rubble from a building, and maybe this white stuff that's all over them is some sort of ancient mortar, maybe. I mean, it sounds like bricks, you know? It sounds like brick. So, yeah, this looks more like some sort of geopolymer that was poured. You can really see the lines good there. That looks poured. And then as flat as it is, it's too perfect. Yeah, I think that was made. I think these are bricks. But, you know, yeah, you can see the lines really good in that one too. And it sounds like brick. So, yeah. And then there's like little red chunks of, it looks like they used brick somehow. I don't know. Okay. Anyway, this is Itoi Shiva. These are from the dragon. He's made of this, I don't even know what this material is. They claim it to be volcanic. It runs all the way up and down his body. Those volcanic dikes that they claim to be volcanic dikes, that's what they are. They're made out of this stuff. And if the sun's not shining good enough to see the sparkles, but it also has those little flakes of mica in there, which makes me think too, maybe these are like parts of the feathers of the Naga, because they had feathers too. And so maybe that's what that mica shimmer is. And it's in layers, see? It looks like layers of feathers. And then this came from the bird. They call it mica. And it glimmers so beautifully. They actually make glitter for like acrylics and soaps and stuff like that out of this stuff. That's what they make the glitter for it from. But they're all like in these rippled layers like that. And then every now and then you'll find inclusions of quartz in it. I think these inclusions would be like the actual stalk of the feather, like, you know, sort of your bony or tendinous material, with your, like Roger would say, your abrupt transitions where it connects right in here to the actual feather. So, yeah, like this looks like bony, tendinous type material, and you find it like scattered throughout, you know. They're fused together. The mica is not separate from the quartz at all. It's all part of the same thing. But these ripples are, this is what a feather looks like under a microscope. I'm gonna go in and show you now what the feathers look like, but that's why I am saying mica now, and there are mica mines all over the world. I think they're feathers. I really do. I mean, look at the way it ripples like that. It is just so feather-like. Layers and layers of sparkly feathers. So this is experimental maturation of feathers, and it's the microscopic view of them. I thought this was a really great example of these volcanic dikes that we find everywhere, these really long lines of what look like stacked stones of rock. What if it's like parts of the feathers, you know? The barbs and barbacules, and then they break into blocks, as you can see here, depending on the environment, I guess, really, you know? And then you have all those lines covering the mountains like we do now, those straight lines that go all the way over a hill and up over the next one and up over the next one. And it makes no sense why they would even build a wall up and over each hill the way that we see them, and the way they crisscross especially. When I see them crisscross, it makes me think more along the lines of the barbacules, like that. And then we have that grid pattern on the ground. But Itoy, the dragon over there, he looks just like that. Them long, what they call volcanic dikes of white stone. I think that's what they are. They're feathers. And then we have that same kind of effect over on the bird. So this one here, these are fossils under a microscope. And as you can see, we've got the A, the B, and then CD. Okay, you've got those spots. And then here on C, you've got those two little zoomed in spots. And then there's F. Okay? There's your mica. That right there is the same exact ripple pattern on these stones that cover this mountain, that sparkle and glisten in the sun. They're so beautiful. Look exactly like what fossil feathers look like under a microscope. So this right here, this molecular level, is about the same size of what we would be looking at holding those stones in our hands. Pretty incredible, the micro, macro, and the fractal nature of it. It's pretty cool.